good morning. Welcome to Pattern is Prologue. My name is Hugh. I'll be your host today for the next few minutes. Happy November 1st. So we're doing this on an ultra low budget here, so I apologize for the poor audio and video, but that's what we have to deal with. This is the real deal here, so there'll probably be noise in the background. And got kids and dogs, and so there's bound to be some kind of noise or disruption that happens, but we'll work through it. So we're going to be looking at the movie Blade Runner, and as the title shows, Blade Runners of Occam's Razor. And the question on origins, who am I? Take note of the intentional misspelling of I and replacing it with the anatomical I. And that is what the opening scene of, the scene in the scene in Blade Runner deals with. So we'll be looking at that a little bit later, but we'll be looking at the movie Blade Runner and its correlation to our own lives. In the Blade Runner, we're dealing with a person named Deckard, an android hunter, a Blade Runner, waking up to the possibility that he too is the very machine he hunts. I guess that it takes one to know one. As the saying goes, or better said, it takes one to hunt one, in this case. This reality of Deckard being an android is not necessarily readily realized by the viewer at first. So, the evolution of this subplot is nested in a dark future of an android invasion of Los Angeles. The movie's opening scene is set in, of all things, November 2019. Here we are, November 1st. So we're rolling right into this revelation as is showed in the movie Blade Runner. In lockstep with this science fiction revelation is the revealing of androids in the science faction setting of present day, November 2019. We're dealing with the invasion of machines for which most are not prepared for the consequences. Subtle cues direct the viewer to consider the possibility that Deckard is an android. Likewise, subtle cues have been placed in the reality we experience that directs us to question the very reality we find ourselves immersed in. Who am I? What am I? When did all this begin? Where did I come from? How did I get here? Why am I here? Those are the questions that we ponder sometimes, and if not, they should be coming across your as you think about things. The whole topic came to mind as of late as I listened to various podcasts where tangentially the topic of origins comes up. From listening, you can tell that the logic has left the room. As such, I posit that indeed you can prove with statistical confidence by weighting evidence on both sides of the argument on origins, and in the end by picking a threshold at which something is statistically significant for one to have belief or faith in that theory or understanding on origins. We will apply Occam's razor to the question of origins and determine which argument best suits a logic-based understanding. We will apply the scientific method inclusive of history, and we will define faith as an argument that cannot be confirmed via the scientific method. The approach levels the playing field of those who blindly adhere to, quote, faith, unquote, based on philosophy of science, quote, scientism. So we're basically just going to do an overview of these thoughts I'm presenting right now. Obviously, you could go on for quite a bit of time on each one of these. So, let's see. Merriam-Webster defines scientism as the excessive belief in the power of scientific knowledge and techniques. Scientism, as defined by Wikipedia, is the promotion of science as the best or only objective means by which society can determine normative and epistemological values. The term scientism is generally used critically implying a cosmetic application of science in unwarranted situations considered not amenable to application of the scientific method or similar scientific standards. So they're calling, who am I? What am I? When did all this begin? Where did I come from? How did I get here? Why am I here? The questions arise. Comes up as you think about this. Simply put, did an intelligent design put me here, or was I an accident due to accidental circumstances? So if you boil it down, it's God versus evolution. Let's set the intelligent being argument aside for the time being. Again, this is just going to be an overview. And let's pick up with Occam's razor and apply the razor's edge to the infinitesimally dense mass scientifically termed the, quote, cosmological singularity, not to be confused with technological singularity, or that being the application of Moore's law to the emergence of AI-based machines superseding human dominance. We will go with the Wikipedia definition of the initial singularity, or what I term the cosmological singularity, for our understanding of the following. So lay down, quiet. The initial singularity was a gravitational singularity of seemingly infinite density, thought to have contained all the mass and space-time of the universe before quantum fluctuations caused it to rapidly expand. In the Big Bang and subsequent inflation creating the present-day universe, the instant immediately flowing, the initial singularity is part of the Planck epoch, the earliest period of time in the history of the universe. Take note of this, the history of the universe, the earliest time. And the key thing to take away from this is pre-man. So the application of the scientific method to the cosmological singularity must begin with the ability to repeat said circumstances. So, considering this is an impossibility because no one was there to observe this one-time event, we cannot accept this as fact and is thus a belief or article of faith if one chooses to assume that this is the beginning of our origins. This same process should be applied to all facts accepted by both sides of the argument, with the presumption that each understanding regarding that of origins. That of accidental chaos from nothing or intelligent design, in the end, believed or built on faith. Yes, either you're a faithful, not scientific inherent to random chaos, or a believer in some form of intelligent being. That rigid approach of the scientific method can be applied to each of the so-called stages of evolution, those being cosmic evolution, Big Bang, chemical evolution, origin of stars and planets, organic evolution, macroevolution, and microevolution. Those six, I will go into a brief description right now and why they are negated. So cosmic evolution, the origin of time, space, and matter, one-time event, not observed by man, not repeatable without a control. Same thing with Big Bang chemical evolution, the origin of higher elements from hydrogen, stellar and planetary evolution, one-time event, not observed, not repeatable without a control. Origin of stars and planets, one-time event, not observed, not repeatable with a control. Organic evolution, origin of life from inanimate matter, one-time event, not observed, not repeatable without a control. Macroevolution, origin of major kinds or species, one-time event, not observable, not repeatable without a control. And then you come down to the last one, microevolution, which is basically adaptation that occurs within the species. This is observable, but not cross-species, which is not observed, not repeatable without control. Furthermore, take note that each of these is a building block for the next step of evolution. They all are stacked from upon each other from your base of cosmic evolution on down to microevolution. So, once you take out one of those blocks for the next step, the whole chain breaks down from the first step. Again, the purpose of this overview is to lay the foundation, a framework of operating from a level playing field, where basically we recognize that whether you believe in evolutionary origin or a intelligent design origin, both are operating from a faith-based system of beliefs. And then the way that you should approach that beyond that is to look at what you take within each of those sublevels as a fact and apply a weight to them, and then you can measure between the two which is the weightier and ultimately simplest solution, best solution via Occam's razor. So as stated, there's an overview and much detail can be spent on each point. On the other hand, we'll look at when we're dealing with intelligent design, when you apply this rigid understanding of arguing for belief, one comes to the conclusion, and this is my opinion, that the historicity of Scripture, which is factually based, and weight can be applied to that, along with its conveyance of scientifically validatable description of human physiological function, i.e., scientific facts that can be found in the Scripture. For one, the life is in the blood. The Scripture talks about this, and yet George Washington was bloodlet by his doctor with a Bible sitting right next to him. In it is the scientific proof of the necessity of retention of blood for human life. And stacked on top of that is the forthtelling of events, what we call prophecy, demonstrating the omniscience of God or the intelligent being, positioned outside time and able to describe events before they happen, thus validating he is the creator via foretold events that we call Scripture. I suggest any retorters review the facts of Ivan Panin and Lee Strobel, just to name a couple, and then we can go into this deeply again, before presenting counter-arguments to my thesis laid out above. I am arguing predominantly that those who espouse the evolutionary perspective are actually practicing the religion of scientism, and that religion has spawned many of the isms that have led to the slaughter of countless lives due to the lack of acknowledgement of a just creator who will judge the works of man for their deeds on this earth. So as we reflect on humanity and the origins of asking those existential questions, who am I? What am I? When did all this begin? Where did I come from? How did I get here? Why am I here? Let us consider the possibility that we are indeed creations, machines of some sort, given free will to decide our fate. So I say, choose wisely. As we are eclipsed by the dawn of the technological singularity, and humans are phased out, know this: that itself was foretold centuries ago as a warning to our day. As humans give way to superintelligence embedded in synthetically skinned machines, replicants per se, of the humankind, remember the soul of those beings is information, weightless, timeless, eternal, information. Born in the likeness of humans, yes, the real you, just like the computer, loaded with information, is weightless and eternal. That information is weightless and eternal. Your body is the shell used to express the information, your memories and experience here on earth. The ultimate life and death video game, where your moment by moment choices actually matter for eternity. The modern age of surveillance is merely the revelation of that, the observation that existed from the beginning, where each human plays their part on the grand stage, each in the end is accountable, is held accountable or rewarded based on their part that they play. Again, I say choose wisely with all this in mind. Yes, the who, what, where, when of our existence becomes more and more clear as we venture deep into the time of which more is written in the scripture than when that Superman, the first time traveler, Jesus Christ, walked the earth. And yes, that is our time. As we wrap up this reflective discussion on why it is more logical to presume an intelligent design teleological perspective, let's take a look at a few interesting outer layers of skin that wrap the body of work known as Blade Runner. As noted, it's November, so remember the following as we approach the coming darkness of the Blade Runner narrative that is eclipsing the narrative of man immersed in naturalism, ignorant of the God who is there, and his desire to be loved by his creation. After all, we are created in his image, and who of us requires someone to love us? Don't we all want to be loved by choice rather than force? So it is with God. He desires to be loved by his creation rather than him having to force his creation to love him. He gives us that choice of free will. Once you presume that the intelligent design perspective, you realize there are no accidents. Everything happens by design and for a purpose, within the confines of us acting out through our free will, which we do have free will, and God, in being outside of space-time, is able to see our decisions and navigate with them as he brings about his grand design. And likewise with movies, with deep character and plot development, the opening scene for Blade Runner shows Los Angeles, November 2019, as the background shows. The scene is dark and explosive. Could this be a Revelation event unfolding today in 2019? Interesting, this November, there are fires raging with massive blackouts. Very interesting to think. Keep in mind everything has a secondary meaning, and that is occulted in the movies of this genre. Los Angeles is the city of fallen angels, I would say. So you would say it's the city of angels, Los Angeles. So it's the city of fallen angels where the Hollywood is casts the spell from Hollywood, casts the spell Hollywood, casts the spell from Los Angeles. And November, the 11th month, is derived from the Latin word nove, meaning 9, conveying 9/11. And 19, we are in 2019, and 19 was also coded in 9/11. 19 is an ominous number often conveying death, destruction, and demise. Pay attention to the number 19 and you will find this to be the case. And I will show you this in a couple of examples right here. This is how it pops up, number 19, 19 reasons to do, not to do Halloween, a satanic holy day. Just popped up. And years ago I collated a bunch of observations on the number 19. So you can go to Fortell, which is the website or WordPress I had before Pattern Prologue. And you can go through and see all the interesting connections to the ominous number 19. So keep in mind here, pay attention to the number 19, and you will find this to be the case. It is interesting that in the days leading up to the Satanic High Day of Halloween, up through today, November 1st, fires are raging with huge swaths of the California population being plunged into darkness. Nothing happens by accident. In the movie Blade Runner, the character development is centered around the Nexus 1 android, or replicant. Interestingly, Google's brain that operates their cell phone is called the same, the Nexus 1. The debate is over whether or not we live in Brave New World in 1984 has been raging as well. And as we'll see, we are heavily steeped, or as we observe, we are heavily steeped in both, with our rights being lovingly stomped on by the deep state of nameless, faceless technocrats rolling out our future. So as we look at, well, I was just talking about Philip K. Dick, estate in pursuit of Google's Nexus One. Google's Nexus One mobile phone may be the next cool thing. It's the family of sci-fi legend Philip K. Dick, the legend that the search giant lifted the device's name straight from the iconic Dick novel without even bothering to pick up one of their fancy new smartphones after mission. Google takes first and then deals with the fallout later, Issa Dick Hackett, Dick's daughter told Wired Mag. Google officially announced the new Android OS-based phone, the Nexus One, on Tuesday, but the estate of the paranoid sci-fi legend Philip K. Dick says the name originates from the novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep that later became the sci-fi classic Blade Runner. In that story, a private detective is tracking down a rogue android, a Nexus 6 model. So as we walk into this brave new world of 1984, the debate is over. Roger Waters' persecution of Assange states that Orwell and Huxley were both right. And I agree with that. So, as we recognize that we're under full spectrum dominance and the technocrats proudly flaunt their allegiance to that dark light, I'd like to present something here, a little riddle that I came up that, interestingly, it ties together all of the, not all, but a lot of the big corporations of the deep state that have deep histories and that are tied to the technological singularity rollout. So I'll read this riddle to you. Tell me what you see that links the three, nay four, double vision or illusion, iconic, archonic, hidden in plain sight, look and you will see. The I-beam, the IBM, the I-beam enlightens the ogling, googling eye, apple of the eye, the window to the soul. Indeed, indeed, our soul is what is on the chopping block for the rollout of the technological singularity. And again, I point out the necessity of us choosing wisely how we navigate the future in our lives as we walk this path. Next up, on Patternist Prologue, we'll take a look at the reality of us as avatars per se, and inserted into the realm of Ready Player One, treasure hunting, rewards, and the awakening to the truth of a simulation as the ground for measuring our abilities and potentialities of advancing to the next level with the kingdom, the power, and the glory as real gets in the here and now. As we close out with this review of Blade Runner and the correlation to our question, who am I? Let's reflect on the pithy statement by the Master himself. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Matthew 6:22. If anyone would like to do an online or in-person meetup, we can arrange something accordingly. I'm in the South Orange County area. Again, my name is Hugh at Patternist Prologue. If anyone would like to do an online debate or discussion, reach out and send your CV to patternistprologue@gmail.com. As always, your prayers are solicited that God will bless this endeavor, and please share this content so we can build a community of like-minded individuals who want to see the true change see true change in our cultures worldwide. Thank you for your time. God bless and Godspeed. Happy trails. We'll see you soon.